Hey guys, Cyberdream here, doing a quick review of the Arcade1Up Street Fighter 2 home arcade cabinet. Yes, indeed, Arcade1Up has finally launched their first wave of 3/4 scaled arcade cabinets, and if you remember my few videos of them back in August, I was pretty excited for the concept of having miniature arcade cabinets that you could buy in a store for your house. Skip to 2 months later, and I was actually setting a review unit to make a video on one. Now if you have no clue what I'm talking about, Arcade1Up are producing slightly miniature arcade cabinets containing a small amount of games each. Each cabinet's theme is also designed around the games included. For example, some of the current machines you could buy include an Asteroids machine with Tempest, so a spinner is included. We got a Rampage machine with a 3-player setup, and the Street Fighter 2 machine I got has 2 6-player button setups. I've always wanted my very own home arcade cabinet, and did attempt to build my own to little success. And when you look at other sites like X Gaming or X Tension, while those are very high quality machines, they're also pretty high up in price. Arcade1Up's line of systems here in the US at stores like Walmart range around the $300 mark, so these could easily make some good starting points for people wanting to get into the home arcade market, but it all depends on the quality of the machine. I've heard many home arcade machines have come and go throughout the years, so let's see if Arcade1Up is something that's gonna last. So we have a lot of things to look over, including the presentation, so we'll start with that. The Street Fighter 2 cabinet I got looks great. While the side panels are a bit generic with just having the Championship Edition logo, the front side of the machine is what's going to catch people's attention. The detail is amazing, clearly being based off the original Street Fighter 2 Champion cabinet. You have all the cheesy instructions, the original 1992 copyright from Capcom, even the famous typo of Battle Log being Bar Log. Effort was truly put into the presentation, and would certainly be an eye-catcher when you have people over. I would want to point out though that there's currently an issue existing of artwork scratches and tears appearing easily on early review units. I myself had this little tear right here when I received the unit, and luckily it ain't bad noticeable. To combat this, Arcade1Up is releasing plastic covers for the control pad to prevent artwork damage, while anyone who purchased the cabinet already can order one for free with the warranty provided on the machine. It's a bit confusing on why the company didn't think of this issue earlier. Also, while mentioning the control pad, let's talk about the buttons. As I mentioned earlier, each cabinet has a control pad exclusive to that theme, so with the Street Fighter 2 unit, you get 2 6-button setups with 2 ballpoint joysticks. The buttons feel fine. I ain't a total expert on button feel. In fact, I should mention a few experts on arcade sticks like ETA Prime claim that the buttons are pretty cheap, so I'll mention that you may want to look into switching them out with something of higher quality. However, for a casual like myself, these operate fine. The ballpoint joysticks are a bit odd because I know for a fact that the original Street Fighter 2 used more bat style sticks. Also, if you ain't careful, the ballpoints can easily unscrew during gameplay, but you can also screw them back in easily. You have a 1-player start button and a 2-player start button. No coin insert buttons present because all the ROMs are set on the free play, which is pretty cool. But also because of this, there isn't no decorative coin door in the front, which will have been a neat addition, but it's not necessary. Now we got a few switches that control the machine. The power switch with a simple flip turns the whole thing on and makes it really fast to get into the game. There is a question I want to ask you guys though, if you can answer. But is it just me, or is the opening logo for some reason displaying in 360p? It's oddly blurry and does not fit the whole screen like the menu or game does. I imagine that maybe having an HD boot up screen will further extend the loading times, but the pixelated look is really noticeable. Moving on, I'll talk about the volume switch. You got 3 levels of audio, being mute, low, and normal. Low is already pretty loud, but normal is really loud, which is great as it makes you feel like you're in an arcade. I can see playing these in like an apartment being difficult unless you play in mute, but what another reviewer from the channel X Gaming has already said is to play some game cases over the speaker hole to muffle the sound, it'll work fine. Also, I didn't notice that at first, but the sound coming from the cabinet is mono. While it will vary from game to game, one of the games on my unit, Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers, will be missing audio cues and straight up no sound effects will play for certain actions. Some easy examples would be character themes like Fei Long, or in this quick demonstration clip, I'll be selecting characters in the versus screen. Take notice how you can hear a ding and selection noise for player 2, but silence for player 1. I really wish there was a way to compress the audio to fit mono, and if Arcade1Up does a Marvel vs. Capcom machine, there will most likely be sound effects missing from there too. And in general, any Capcom game that utilized the Q sound chip. Finally, leave a big question of Arcade1Up's machines. How tall are they? Well, if you've been paying attention when I mention these are miniature machines, you won't be shocked to realize they're only about 4 feet tall. Arcade1Up has expressed they legally cannot make any larger units because of the manufacturing deal they have to produce these. So to try to satisfy consumers like me who wanted a stand-up machine, they got an optional riser that brings the cabinet just a little under the official size of the real machine. These range for about $40 at Walmart, or honestly, be me and just place it on an end stand or a custom built riser. I'm about 5'11" last time I checked, and with the cabinet at this height, it's really comfortable for me. The width could have been a bit longer as I've done multiplayer matches with my friends for review, and sometimes we would occasionally budge shoulders from each other. It's really not that bad, but it could be annoying. To summarize the presentation, it's pretty good. There are a few things I question, like the pixelated intro of the monitor, the ballpoint sticks, and the mono sound, but the stuff people are flacking on, like the height, I really don't care about. In fact, it makes a pretty good sit-down machine when you got yourself a couple of stools, but I prefer playing my arcade games standing up. So how about them games? Well, each Arcade1Up cabinet you'll get a set of games ranging from 2 to 12 in some cases. With the Street Fighter 2 unit, prepare to get your hoping of Street Fighter 2, and only Street Fighter 2. While some will want maybe a game from the Alpha series or Street Fighter 3, it was explained that it was Capcom's decision to make this cabinet only contain Street Fighter 2 games. Plus, if you're a hardcore Street Fighter fan, you would already know that each game is truly different from each other when you get to the technical side. For 3 games included are Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, an updated version of the original base game with the 4 in-game bosses playable, and the ability to select the same character. My personal favorite out of the 3, Super Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers, it overhauled the game in many aspects from Champion Edition, not only adding a lot of new characters, but also new stages, tweaks to the engine allowing for a combo system, edits to older characters, and new alternative colors. If you was only to play one game out of 3, New Challengers is the one to go. Me personally, I think Champions Edition is just a bit too dated in controls, and it lacks a lot of the new content that New Challengers added. We got a third game though we can also compare, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which speeds up the gameplay a lot faster than New Challengers, and a hell of a lot faster than Champions Edition. This is the ultimate challenge if you want to progress on the list from top to bottom. The AI is relentless, which is a positive and negative. The positive, of course, is the challenge of the sped up gameplay, while the negative is for the fact that someone like me, this game is pretty unplayable, at least till I master the controls of New Challengers. In fact, a pretty huge complaint with Arcade1Up that people really like to point out of games like Super Turbo is the lack of customization of dip switches. Super Turbo, for example, is only locked to the second speed in the 1-up machine, but with emulators, the Street Fighter collections, or an actual arcade machine, you can speed up the gameplay faster, and may even make the AI harder or easier. Having these options as like a switch or a button on the game select menu would have been really cool, as it would make all 3 games more enjoyable. Also, while in the emulation, it's pretty sad that there's no memory with the board to save high scores. I thought they mentioned at one point in July that high scores were savable, but I confirmed they are not. With those aside, the games play great, and that's really all I can ask for. It ain't perfect, but it's a good attempt, and you know, that really sums up Arcade1Up. They can never make the perfect home arcade machines that will beat the originals, but it's a pretty good attempt. And while you can't add games to them, the sound is mono, and there exist a lot of quality control issues to point out. For $300, you do get something good. Hell, follow groups like the official Arcade1Up fan page on Facebook for some sweet modding tutorials and ideas. I myself plan on tweaking these to make a great arcade emulation machine. Even without modding, I would still recommend Arcade1Up to a friend. Can't be thankful enough to Arcade1Up for sending me a review unit, and after a week of use, I was able to give my honest thoughts, and I hope this video gave you guys a better impression of the company's goal to provide home arcade units. While it's certainly been a few weeks since I made a YouTube video, hopefully I can keep making more without week gaps in between. If you guys want to keep up with my activities like video announcements or streaming announcements, be sure to follow my Twitter, which will be linked in the description below. I'll also be sure to link that Facebook group I mentioned in the description too, along with other stuff like my Patreon. Well guys, I am Cybershoom, hoping you have a good one.